Welcome to my Let's Play of Spelunky. This is episode 5, and I'm Psychedelic Eyeball. So, in the last two videos that we've done, we pretty much died right out of the gate whenever we happened to stumble in the jungle, so hopefully with this one run we will finally figure out a way to go through, and once again I've been betrayed by those grey blocks. Well, it wasn't in the way specifically, but by bombing through the wall it made it so that the wall which was holding up the grey wall or grey block was no longer there, so it just ended up falling and blocking my path in such a way that I could no longer progress through without using yet another bomb. Also, will I eventually learn that just messing around with those powder boxes is never a good idea? Because just in case that you didn't figure it out yet, I'm gonna take every single opportunity to remind you, leave these boxes alone. I mean, it's fun to play around with them, but it's still very deadly and very dangerous. And once again, I pretty much almost bonked myself on the face with another rock. Also, it's rare that the bomb paste end up getting in your way, but this is one of those cases, because if we had bomb paste, we will pretty much have to waste 2 bombs in order to dig our way through the damsel pit. Yeah, the text which is down below is no decoration. This is a level flavor, and depending on the level flavor text that you get, this will add a specific feature into the level. For instance, whenever it says that you hear snakes and you hate them, that means that the level will have a snake pit, and we're going into it right now. There's always a gigantic, huge vertical shaft full of snakes, jewels, and occasionally some good items like crates, treasure chests, and a whole lot of diamonds at the bottom like this. So usually the snake pit is a pretty good way in order to get resources and money, but make sure that you have at least a couple of bombs or ropes in order to go through him, because otherwise you may end up being stuck inside them with no possible way to leave. But still, a snake pit is usually worth investigating, because you will often find damsels inside of these pits, and if the key and chest happen to spawn, this is probably where you'll find it as well. Yeah, we're not gonna put an end to the level yet, because I still want to go to the shop, because there's a shit ton of bombs for sale. Now, I'm gonna grab what I want, and then we're gonna try a daring maneuver. We're gonna try and pawn off the idol to the shop over there. And this might be tricky, but you will see what I'm going through with this. Yeah, if you manage to dispose of the idol before the trap is sprung, that means that the boulder will never spawn, and therefore you will not anger anybody or destroy anything in your path with a gigantic boulder. You can also do this with several other ways, like bringing the idol to the exit, and there's another use of the golden idol that I haven't covered yet, and we will come back to it eventually. Now, the only thing that I need for this run in order to pretty much be in a pretty good position to win will be to have some more ropes, because right now I'm not doing really well with my one rope, but at least on the flip side we have a shit ton of bombs, so that means we can pretty much blow up everything that we want. And usually blowing up everything that you want is a pretty good way to find crates that are pretty much hidden in places where you normally will never go. And while we don't see a whole lot of this into the mines, you will see a shit ton of this inside the jungle. There's a lot of portions in the level that usually are cut off from pretty much the entire world, and this is where your bombs get handy. Ah, there we go. Now with my 4 ropes, I feel like I'm in a pretty good position. Hopefully with this one run, we will be able to get past the jungle. Okay, it's not gonna go past the jungle if I end up keeping doing stupid stuff like this. Alright, come on, get a grip. Just go and do this. Here we go. And now the damsel is safe. Or the manzel, for that matter. I probably could have thrown the manzel down here in order to clear the arrow traps, but this pretty much would have been very risky, because there would have been a huge chance of pretty much having this maneuver to backfire against me and make it so that the damsel will die just before going to the exit. There will be some chances that Well, usually enemies in this game will have some brief invulnerability frame after being hit by an item, and therefore, if he was hit by both arrows at the same time, he probably will survive, but I'm not too positive about that, and right now I'm kind of mad that I have to waste a rope just to save the doggy. Yeah, I don't really need anything else right now. I already have a shit ton of bombs. The machete is kind of an item that I never go out of my way to buy because for the most part it's a pretty poor item, I don't really like it. And finally the boomerang, while it's a good item, we're going to a place where we will be able to find some boomerangs pretty easily. Also, it's kind of fitting that whenever I'm ending the mines, this is where the chest finally appears. Now, I just hope that we'll be able to find the key before not too long, because otherwise we won't be able to collect the Hujetai. Spelunky is one of these games where you pretty much always have to plan ahead of time and make sure that you don't leave anything behind so that you will end up having to waste items in order to be able to go back to them. So all in all, you always gotta be ready for everything. And yeah, I could have used a rope, but yeah, since I have 3 ropes and I have 30 bombs, I think the choice of item in order to get the key was a pretty obvious one. And here's Tunnelman again. Hopefully we will meet him for the last time. Yeah, we have to pretty much give him half of our money because he always asks us $10,000 to repair his equipment, but here we go, by giving him the money, he was able to finish the shortcut leading to the jungle. And yeah, this level is pretty particular because we somehow managed to get 2 flavor text conditions with it. This level has rushing water, which we will see a little later on, and this level also has the Restless Dead. Basically, it means that the entire level now has a undead graveyard vibe with all of this creepy fog all around the place. You will find these enemies all around the place, the little weird bouncing ghosts, which are called the Jengshi. They're pretty weak and easy enemies to deal with. They were far harder to deal with in the original version because they were far more unpredictable. But I'm gonna take the little drop of difficulty. So yeah, that's already the end of the level. That was a pretty short one. And yeah, concerning the idol which was there, we're gonna come back to it later. So this is what the level implies whenever it tells about rushing water. There's a gigantic lake at the bottom of the level, and it's full of piranhas. And since this is a Restless Dead level, all of the piranhas are now skeletonized, which makes them far spookier. But this is in circumstances like this where you can see how much scarier the piranhas are. And yeah, we unlock a new character because we somehow threw a bomb at a coffin that was off screen. We're gonna go have a look at it a little bit later, but here it is. This is our brand new Heli, a Viking with no clothes. And yeah, that's the coffin in question. Most of the particular level conditions will usually come with coffins in which you'll be able to rescue playable characters, and from now on we will be able to play as the Viking in our future adventures. So we now have the one reason why the rushing water levels are scary. Old Bitey, the gigantic fish of doom and death. Fortunately, the level design was pretty much tailored in order to allow us to deal with him pretty effortlessly, but that encounter with the fish was really easy, but don't think it's gonna be that simple every time. He has more health than any enemy in the game, he swims really fast, he deals 2 damage per hit, and yeah, to kill him you have to throw 4 sticky bombs at him. And we're gonna see a very rare occurrence in this game. We're gonna see 2 ghosts. Because since the level is a Restless Dead level, by killing the giant piranha, we made it so that there will be a ghost spawning immediately, because the crystal idol has the side effect of making a ghost spawn in the level whenever it's picked up. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened here, so we have double the spookiness. It's a bad thing that the ghosts cannot kill off the shopkeepers, but we're gonna see another quirk of the levels, yeah, because there are graves which read ash on them, just like in the Evil Dead movies, and yeah, whenever you bomb the graves, you will find a shotgun. So while the crystal idols are pretty risky, they also have the side effect of also being worth more money. Whenever you bring them to the end of the level, they will give you $15,000 instead of $10,000 for an idol at this point in the game, because Yeah, in the mines, the idols were worth $5,000, but now they're worth the double. In fact, their value will increase by $5,000 with every new location that will go in. So that idols will pretty much be worth more, and in this one world it's kind of weird considering how much easier the idol is to get in. Yeah, right now I don't think we're gonna get the golden idol on this one playthrough. I could bomb the floor from below and make it so that I will rope up there, but at this point I don't think I have enough ropes in order to make it through, and generally I don't go for the crystal oh, okay. Sorry damsel, I really did not mean to do that. So Restless Dead levels also have this new enemy, the vampire. These are pretty much the toughest small enemy of the game because we had to shoot him twice with our shotgun in order to be able to even kill them. And you notice the ash tombstone over there. Vampires are rarer foes to encounter into the Restless Dead levels, but they're always worth the trouble because whenever you kill them, you can steal their cape, and this is one of the means of transportation that you'll have in the game. I mean, the jetpack is still a better item, but the cape is far from being shabby. It's pretty much a parachute that you can enable whenever you want, when you want. Okay, so it seems as if we're finally done with the Restless Dead level. There was a new enemy here, but I'll talk about him. Okay, that was kind of bullshit, because what just happened there is we saw an enemy that we have yet to encounter who was killed because of some unknown reason, and he ended up nuking the altar off screen. That was not really fair, but unfortunately that's not really a thing that we can prevent. Sometimes the level generation will pretty much being generated against your favor. So yeah, there's plenty of new enemies into those places. We have the Tiki Men over there, which are pretty much upgraded versions of the cavemen because they carry these boomerangs around, and they can be very deadly because their boomerangs can hit you multiple times while you're flailing through the air after being knocked out by one of them. Yeah, that's the one halter which ended up exploding, so what the hell managed to cause that anyway? I guess that sooner or later we will find out, because there's gonna be plenty of new content into this one run. Also, don't sweat it if there's a tiki trap right beside an exit, because as soon as you've pushed a button to enter the door, your character becomes invulnerable and you are free to go through the door as you please without being hit or hurt by anything. So here we go, it's the last level of the jungle. We're finally gonna be able to either go through the entire place after dying on this place right off the gate on the last 2 update, and we're probably gonna make our way through this time. So yeah, there was plenty of new enemies here, but we will cover them again as soon as we'll see them again. Normally you'd have to bomb your way through this or send a rope down in order to be able to go down these spikes, but with a cape you can also gently drift down and save the doggy. Oh my god. So hey, we finally managed to do it, but let's see if there's anything worthwhile. No, not really, so brace ourselves, it's time to go to a new location, but first, here's our buddy the Tunnelman again. Yeah, I think we can easily spare 2 bombs, because we're still not gonna run out of bombs anytime soon. So, welcome to World 3, this is the Ice Caves. And this place is particular because while the other locations that we went through so far pretty much had a sturdy floor at the bottom, in this one place there is a gigantic bottomless pit from which you can possibly not hope to escape. Oops, okay, I wanted to rescue the doggy, but it seems as if my plan went awry. So we've killed a whole bunch of enemies off-screen because of the doggy's corpse, but here they are. We have the UFO right over here. They are pretty dangerous enemies as soon as you decide to kill them, because they just are knocked over by physics or gravity, and finally they will violently explode, which can make them a force to be reckoned with, because do I need to remind you, an explosion in this game deals 10 damage, which is really not a good thing. Also, this place is filled with all of these traps. There's a whole lot of mines all over the place, and as soon as you walk over them, they explode after like 1 second. You really cannot afford to waste your time over these. So, greeting us right in front of the entrance is a new enemy, the Mammoth. These are very slow, but also very large, and they're also pretty deadly, although thankfully they are very stupid. They just shoot these freezing rays all over the place, and whenever you get hit by one and you pretty much stand in the mammoth's way, you die because, well, you know that whenever you kill frozen enemies, they die in one hit. Well, the same happens to you whenever you're frozen. It's not as if you get a pass because you're the hero. Also, this is where I noticed one little discrepancy between the good old game version and the Steam version, because normally with the Steam version you're supposed to stomp the mammoths 4 times with the spike shoes in order to kill them, but now they die with only 3 stomps, so I'm really not too sure what's the deal with that. So the biggest danger of the ice caves is the fact that you must know where the exit is ahead of time, because if you get lost and end up into a place where you can no longer reach the exit, then you're kinda boned because of the bottomless pit which is down below. All in all though, the ice caves is a whole lot of fun. There's a whole lot of enemies that are fun to play with, and yeah, the mines can also be disarmed by picking them up as soon as they get ignited. You have to be pretty quick about it because, as you've seen earlier, they don't have much of a fuse, so we're gonna try it out on the Yeti over there. Or the damsel for that matter? What the hell was I thinking there? Well, if you excuse me, well, I didn't like his bow tie, okay? Yeah, that's what. Okay, now I know which road I'm not gonna pick. Or will I? Because there is a way that I could use this mine to my advantage. And yeah, you can see that the mammoth also don't mess around, even when they're not shooting those freeze rays, because they deal 2 damage whenever they hurt you. But yeah, they always drop blue jewels whenever they die, and sometimes they will even drop a freeze ray for you to use, which is really nice. You always gotta enjoy those enemies that give you free weapons. So I've always wondered how the shopkeepers even manage to survive in those little boxes which are filled with treasure. We're gonna have to figure out the meaning of this eventually. So while the ice caves in overhaul is much easier than the jungle, there's still a couple of things that you have to pay attention to. For instance, you have to take your time and you pretty much have to go around and see everything which is all over the place in order to make sure that you're not screwing yourself over by going to a place which may end up locking you out of the exit. For instance, if we drop on the other side, we will have been in trouble because then there will have been no way for us to pretty much make our way without using ropes or without bombing our way through the shopkeeper's shop. Usually the shopkeeper is a pretty good indication of where you have to go, because if the shop is near an exit, the entrance will always be close to the exit gate. Whoops, I did not mean to freeze a UFO which exploded inside the shop. I wanted to freeze a Yeti, but I guess I'll take the bombs which were for sale at this one shop, or, well, this one show, but we're gonna have to play it whenever the shopkeeper will be not angry with us. So the main adversary that you will see all over the place are the Yetis. They're not really a huge threat because usually they're pretty passive enemies. They will not do anything in order to get in your way specifically, but they can be very menacing whenever they manage to get a grab of you, because they just end up tossing you around and you pretty much lose control of all of your actions. And yeah, right here we have the entrance to an alternate level, but I'm not gonna go there yet because I'm kind of ill-equipped in order to tackle it, and I'd rather keep this for another video. But one thing which make the Yetis a little bit harder to deal with is the fact that unless you freeze them beforehand or do anything else, you cannot whip them. Your whip has no effect on them because their fur is just way too heavy. And that's it, that's another location down, and now our next stop is going to be the final world of the game, the temple. This is where we're gonna meet the final boss of the game, and this is also where we'll probably meet the most hazardous of the obstacles that we've seen in the game. They're pretty much all brought in together, and we have those new obstacles, which are the Thwomp or the Crush Traps, but they kinda look like Whomps, except that these ones can go in all 4 directions. They go left, right, up, and down. And yeah, we also have the golden idol into this one flavor level, which says that you hear prayers to Kelly, and whenever you pick the golden idol, you just drop in this huge pit which is full of lava and jewels. So let's go meet the felon which is bombarding us with all of those psychic blasts. Yeah, this is Anubis, the god of the dead, and he's kind of a pain in the butt. He's a pretty tough enemy to deal with, but with the freeze ray, he's pretty much a complete joke. And whenever you kill him, you get to carry his scepter. And now you have your own psychic blast which omen toward enemies. But you have to be careful because sometimes they will also omen on you by total accident. So you have to be careful whenever you're using this weapon. It's very destructive and very powerful, but it kind of goes both ways. This is pretty much risk versus reward. But as you might have noticed, the good side to all of this is that shopkeepers will pretty much not be a concern anymore because they're gonna be so easy to deal with now. Now, I really don't like the way that this crush trap is placed, so we're just gonna nuke it out of existence. That is pretty much the recommended course of action whenever it comes to these because they are so deadly. So, what's this yellow door over there? Yeah, so this is something that has to be done with the scepter, but we need another item in order to be able to do something with this door. Hopefully we'll be able to find it at some point. And we have yet another new enemy, which are complete pains in the butt. These are the Croc-Man, and they're pretty much the most unpredictable enemies in the entire game. They just jump all over the place, and every single time that you hit them, they teleport away in order to avoid their attack. So essentially, the only way that you can kill them is either by total luck or whenever you attack them as they're really close to a wall and they end up teleporting inside a wall, which will telefrag them instantly. The only bad thing, however, with the scepter is that it will only home in successfully on enemies whenever there'll be really nothing else in the way. So this is not really a weapon that you can use in order to attack the enemy that you want. It will attack the enemy that it wants. So we just killed a new enemy, which is the mummy. Whenever you kill them, they drop 2 red jewels, which make them very valuable targets. The bad side to this, however, is that they're pretty hard to kill and they have this very nasty range attack, which they just spit a whole lot of flies at you. They're pretty hard to dodge and they deal a lot of damage, so you do not mess around with them. In the original Spelunky, whenever you will kill a mummy in the first level, they will give you the scepter, but in this game, it's no longer the same thing. Now, the scepter is given to you by Anubis, that you only meet in the first level, but yeah, you can see how annoying Croc-Man are, because how many times did he got hit by my one projectile, and yet he still lived? And don't even get me started on those guys whenever they telefrag you. They really are a pain in the butt. You pretty much have to avoid them at all costs. That's the best that you can do. So we made it all the way to the final boss, but the bad thing is I only have 1 health, so this boss fight is going to be pretty hazardous to do. So this is Olmec, and if you've played Super Mario 3 and made it all the way to the Bowser fight at the end, that's pretty much the same exact concept, except that in this one instance there are far more blocks to destroy, and finally in this one instance, Bowser or Olmec in that one instance spawns a shit ton of enemies, and yeah, I really was no match for them because the scepter just decided to do something of its own. So, the good news is we pretty much played our way through pretty much the entire game, but the bad news is we ended up tripping over the last hurdle, so I guess we're gonna have to try again in order to make it all the way to Olmec again, and finally outsmart him and his minions that he spawns. So stay tuned for the next update, in which we're gonna have a look at some of the roads that you can take in order to get to Olmec.